World of Tank Blitzers and hopefully a few future Momrads. I'm Littlefinger, today doing a full tank review on this Russian Tier 4 medium tank, the T-28. You can see it here in the garage. It is a very big tank with very poor armor, decent gun, but pretty bad on the gun depression. So this is a tough tank to drive. You really have to be careful and map aware to play this tank pretty well. Let's take a look real quick here at the tech tree and show you where it will take you. You can see down here on the bottom, the T-28 at Tier 4 takes you to the KV-1, one of the most OP tanks at Tier 5, and a must drive for just about everybody in my opinion. KV-1 is one of my favorite tanks. The nice thing about this Russian line is that you can go in a couple directions. You can see the KV-1S to KV-13 allows you then to go up into the medium line to the T-43, 44, 54, and then to the Object 140 or the 62A, which are great brawling medium tanks. Or you can come down and you can run down through the KV-2 IS line all the way to the IS-7, which is legendary for its armor. And then one of my favorite lines is the heavy line, starting with the T-150, going all the way up to the IS-4, which is right now my favorite Tier 10 tank. The tank comes with several options for guns, and obviously you start out with a Tier 2. You want to skip over this as fast as you can. My recommendation, and you can see this is a 57mm ZIS-8 and then the 4, and this is just basically an increase in penetration. You look at these numbers, 112, 189, and 29 on that 57mm gun versus the 76mm gun that will do more damage. But you look at those pen numbers, your heat premium ammunition only gives you 75mm of pen. Well, let's just take a quick look here at the KV-1. KV-1 has 75mm front on from the hull and from the sides, meaning that you basically have to be at the rear shooting at a KV-1 because the turret is 110 all the way around. So to me, this gun is completely ineffective in a Tier 5-4 game, which is why I was running the 57mm gun right here. Let's take a quick look at how I have it set up. Consumables, running the repair kit, multi-purpose, and they've just changed this from adrenaline to tornado energy. Increases your loading speed and chances of damaging vehicle modules. Lasts for 15 seconds and cools down for 75 seconds. Provisions, running all three: standard fuel, condensed milk, and protective kit. Ammunition, you can see here I am running 20 rounds of APCR, and you will need it from time to time on some of those Tier 5 tanks when you definitely want a shot to go in. Otherwise, you can typically get by with just the AP, and I'll show you that in one of the games. But don't forget here, shell price, you can change it from gold to credits. So I suggest you change that to credits. Let's take a quick look at tank compare and see how this tank lines up with its peers. So here's a screen grab from blitzstars.com using their tank compare section of the website. You can see I've got the T-28 listed first on the left and the rest of the Tier 4 non-premiums on the right. There is no equipment selected, so this is all pre-equipment loadout for better comparisons. And you can see a lot of red to the right, which means that the T-28 performs better than the areas where you're seeing red. So at DPM of 1296 is second best, only to the M3 Lee. Penetration of 112 is second best, only to the Matilda. Your alpha damage is next to worst here at 90. So you're only going to get 90 hit point damage per shot you take. The upside here is your very high rate of fire at 14.4, with only the Matilda being higher. So that puts your reload speed at 4.17 seconds. So you have to learn to play this tank on flat terrain and just use its speed to point out, shoot, and hide back in. So 990 on the shell velocity is real good. That certainly helps with shooting moving targets at a distance. You can see here also aim time at 1.7 seconds is best in class, tied with the M3 Lee. Dispersion 0.322 is best in class all by itself there. And the one downside to this tank, besides its lack of armor, is the gun depression here at 6 degrees, which is horrible. It's difficult to deal with any sort of slope, and you're not going to be able to shoot over it. So make sure you're aware of flat areas on these maps that you can utilize, and try to see where I go in the gameplay coming up. Moving down to the movement and mobility section of the tank compare, you still see a lot of red. Speed, top speed for the T-28 is 45 kilometers per hour. You can see that's second only to the PZ-3. Engine horsepower at 515 is tops of class, as is your power to weight ratio. So mobility getting up hills is best in class by far. Terrain resistance there at 1.1 is actually the worst in the class. So it does feel a little bit sluggish when you're driving it. Credit coefficient's only 96%, so it's a difficult tank to drive in my opinion, and with a bad credit coefficient, it's going to be tough to make much money in this tank. View range there is pretty standard at 233. Hit points 540 is actually fairly low compared to some of the other tanks. And when you factor in the hull and turret armor there at 30 and 20 millimeters, I mean, you look at the comparison there. 70 for the PZ-3, 50 for the Chi-He. And we've talked about how bad the armor was on the Chi-He. This is much, much worse. So play this tank with caution. You're not going to bounce any shots off of it, so just use its speed and hide as much as possible. So with that being said, let's take a quick look at some gameplay. Alright, so the first game I'm going to show is on Lost Temple, and you can see I'm bottom tier, only one of 4 tier 4s, the rest are tier 5s. Looking at the makeup of my team, I thought that we might want to go Temple, but I am more than happy in this tank to go down the right side through all of these hills here. There's plenty of flat spots for me, so they get spotted up, and you can see I've got a nice flat spot here that's got a hill in front of me, so I'm protected for the most part, and this Anko is just going to push. So far only 2 have been spotted, so I feel safe pushing forward a little bit to continue getting some shots onto this Anko. The other one is behind the big hill right in front of me. So we're making sure that we're pulling back as he's backing up, just for extra protection here. And so we've got one more Anko here, and we finish him off. And we've got a T-28 right there, and we have also got a KV-1. I know he's got a long reload. He's the one that shot me, so I'm able to stay out there for 2 shots while he's on the reload. And that was kind of a stupid mistake on my part. But I know I can get at least 1 shot in while he's on a reload. And since he could kill me with 1 shot, I did not want to take another shot. And you can see that Covenanter pulls right in front of him, so I'm able to pull out while he's distracted and can't shoot. So we're focusing here on the KV-1, and I'm just now trying to use the rest of my team as meat shields, so to speak. Let him aim at them. And I'm using APCR just to make sure that these shots go in. So we've taken a quick advantage here. And they've got one up by the flag, you can see. That's a KV-1, and you can see from the side here, we'll get the aim, wait for the aim to come in, and you can see these shots, regular AP will hit the KV-1 without any problems from the side. So, not sure why he was just standing out there, but we'll take it. Wasn't sure which way that Covenanter was going, so just wait for him. And we will take him out on his way down the hill. Just the Hetzer left. And I was hoping I could get enough speed here to land on top of him. It's one of my favorite moves, but we only track him. But we get a shot in and end up with 4 kills, 1,512 damage, which was good for a mastery badge. And you can see I was bottom tier, got 19 shots in, and effectively used my AP and APCR. Okay, this game is on Copperfield, and as you can see, I am the only tier 4 in this tier 5 battle. We have a lot of heavies, and I think the fight's going to be up to the left on the hill here, so I'm going to make my way up there. As are the heavies, which is very nice. Except I think our heavies might get a little too confident in their armor. And they've all pushed way up on the hill. I've got horrible gun depression, so I can't stay behind this hill. If I'm going to get my gun down, as you can see here, I'm going to have to use leverage off of the side of the hill there. And it's just too many heavies over there, so I'm going to relocate. Use my speed here and cut through the middle of the map. You can see we're quickly up to 45 kilometers per hour, 50 going downhill. And I'm hoping that we can flank their heavies and get them distracted. We're already down a tank, and I've been spotted. So this T-28 is rushing me here. So just using our speed to take our shot and get out of the way, but he's coming for us. There's no doubt about it. I've got a tank right behind me, and I'm going to wait for him to be the distraction. You can see he's now facing the other tank, so I'll get a couple shots in there. And here comes the KV. KV on an angle you cannot penetrate. APCR, no problem. So I'm shot from behind here. That was probably that T-28. So we're going to use our speed and mobility on this KV. And you can see we're just going to circle him here. Trying to stay on the back, try to aim for that engine, set it on fire whenever possible. And you can see here we're just using our speed to circle and take out a very difficult KV. It's a shame I missed that shot there. Might have saved myself a shot here, but get quite lucky. One of those tracks, must have been from up on the hill, tracks me. But as you can see, I'm pulling forward and have a nice angle, so he bounces that shot. One of the rare bounces that you're going to see in this tank. So while all that was happening, the rest of my team folded on the hill, and it is now 5-on-2. So I'm just trying to use these tanks here as protection, and I wanted to get up the hill, but I ran into that friendly dead tank there. So I'm just trying to use this building and this tank. We're getting some good shots off here. Doing pretty well. We're keeping 2 tanks distracted. But my last remaining teammate finally succumbs. So I'm hoping to make a run for it. Get to somewhere safe. But I run into another tank again. And we get finished off. But as the only tier 4 in this game, I managed to do 1,690 damage. So if I'd had a competent team, I think we would have been able to pull that one off. KV1 with only 332. Alright, so here we are on Port Bay, again as bottom tier, asking everyone to head to the river, which is left, obviously. And one of the nice things about this tank, obviously, here is the speed. You can see we're quickly up to 45 kilometers per hour. And whenever possible, I like to cross the river and get as far left as possible and use those mounds just to my right as protection. But you can see here, there's that 6%. You cannot get a shot down, so I need to go a little bit further to the left and get off of that hill where the roadway track is. But you can see we're nicely covered by that mound now, and we can move back and forth and get shots in where we want to. Taking a few shots from the Stewart there, but you can see the tank does aim quite well, and we're able to push him back. Shooting through the bridge, not a problem. We'll focus here on some of these guys that are standing up in the roadway. They're going to break down. Now they're running for it. We're each down 1 tank, so it's still a fair fight. And they have hidden, and it looked like they were all running around to the other side. So at this point, it looks like maybe they have split up into 2 groups. So we're being patient, trying to conserve our hit points here, but also trying to find a spot that's going to allow us to be engaged and get some targets. So since I saw that they were circling around, that was a shame that one missed. Figured that they would be coming around this side. You can see how quick this tank reloads. I don't even think I'm spotted at this point in time, so safe to sit there. So they've got 4 left, and we can see 3 of them. And again, you can see the issues with this gun depression. Just that small amount of hill will make it so that I can't. And we're keeping an eye on these guys, and you can see he's coming around here. Just regular AP, we're doing a great job. That one shot a little bit low. I'm aiming for that lower. And that's a crazy shot. A DW on the move being able to hit me like that. But anyway, we'll end up finishing him off. So we're up a tank at this point in time. So they're all on the other side of the map, so we got to move. The tank powers up hills pretty nicely there, 28 kilometers per hour. And we are even now. BDR. Oh, that hill. That gun depression. So we are working on the BDR here. Gonna use my speed and try to circle him and get down and help the M5 while I can. Unfortunately missed that shot there. This might have been a bad mistake, because I'm not getting the help I thought I would be getting from M5, and as I was trying to get back around to safety, I get taken out there. And unfortunately, M5 just doesn't have what it takes. So, another loss, but over 2,000 damage in this game. Alright, so Canal, bottom tier again, and I've got 3 Ankos on my team. This is not going to be good because Wargaming is just pretty much giving away these Ankos on their last event. It was super easy to get this free tank, and there's a lot of people running around in them that don't know how to play them. But I instruct the team to go left because that is really the best makeup for our team, the Ankos and everything. So I like to come down behind this rock and just power our way up instead of going all the way back around the other spawn site. But you can see we've got a couple that are lingering there at spawn. One now is going the opposite direction, and we've got one that's gone into the middle of the map and stopped moving. So we're pushing around hard here. And keep in mind, we're almost going to have to crest this hill just to be able to get our gun depression down. So they've quickly gone across the bridge, which is not going to be a good situation. They're going to be in the middle of several tanks, crossfire. You can see I'm using, just to my right, there's a little bit of a ridge going up the hill. So I'm using that to help with the gun depression here. And I'm trying to keep my profile shown as small as possible. And we're just going to pump in shots here as best we can. He's dropped off the radar, but he's in there somewhere, so. I don't want to pull up the hill because then I'll be exposed. So you can see that our guys are surrounded. Two of them are now gone. The B1 has got some nice armor on it, so we switch over to APCR and can pump in a few shots here, trying to aim just below and to the right of the turret there. So while this game is not one of a lot of strategy from my part, I'm just sitting here behind the bushes. This upcoming battle is kind of what I wanted to highlight, as I got spotted from behind, and it is a PZ3 with really good armor, good speed, and you can see here I'm starting to bounce shots. I can't even get my gun depression down low enough to get off of his turret. And so it's, I mean, you know, I would have liked to think that I could take on a one-on-one another tank and beat them, but that wasn't even close. He still had 140 hit points left. And that's just the downside to this T-28, and it's really, really bad gun depression and horrible armor. You can see there, I was shooting his turret, and obviously that's where he's got the most protection. So we ended up losing this game, which did not surprise me based upon those 3 Ankos. We still did 1,400 damage, which is pretty darn good. One of those Ankos at 280, 340, 585, so that's just not good for a tier 5. Alright, so the last game I'm going to show you here is on Mirage, and I am tuned up with TD Skip, and he is in his Matilda. So you can see I'm very cautious at the beginning of this game. I'm going to let my teammates get out ahead of me and kind of use them as meat shields, so to speak. You can see difficulty with gun depression. Right here, I'm on the side of a hill. So I'm just kind of letting the game unfold. Want to see where they're at. And then I can make my moves and get engaged in the battle. So I'm not liking the fact that this A20 is over here. So I'm going to try to push him away. We'll get a nice shot into his rear. And as I'm doing that, the Crusader comes up and bum rushes Matilda, and we'll just go ahead and finish him off. And so I see this BT7 Artie pushing around here by himself. So you can see on the run, this tank, while it does have good speed, does not have great accuracy shooting on the run. And this guy does a great job of avoiding me and then circling back to teammates, and I've seen that they've got two guys headed this way, so I'm not going to continue my chase, staying on the outside of them. Certainly don't want to run into a crossfire situation, so I'm going to try to get over this hill and leave the B1 behind. He's too slow to get over that hill and do anything at this point in time, so finish off the T-28 and we'll go tackle the B1, and our team's done a great job. There's only two left, so not much strategy involved in this game, a lot of good shooting, and don't recommend ramming in this game with this tank. I mean, you can see here I did 0 damage to him, basically took his track out and lost somewhere near 80 hit points to my tank. So not a tank you want to do any ramming in. One guy left and he's on the run. Get one shot in, but teammate takes him out there. So anyway, very quick game. We did well with 1,039 damage, 2 kills. It was good enough for the top of the team, but we had a very good team. All but one survived, so that was a fun game. Okay guys, that completes my review of the T-28. I sure hope you got something out of this review and it helps you play the tank a little bit better. It is a very difficult tank with that 6 degrees of gun depression and no armor whatsoever. So play it very cautiously, play it on flat areas, and make sure that you can get into cover quickly. It's a difficult tank to carry in, but you can still do a fair amount of damage if you play it right. So, as always, guys, stay safe out there. Have fun. This is just a game. Get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.